possible anymore to self-insure your workers' comp. The reason I say that is that I took my former company that way back in '75. And let me tell you something, the savings since that point have been huge.
For workers' comp? As we stand now, we would not be eligible because we are underneath the county of
Okay,
Geauga.
well, that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, no, we are underneath the county of Geauga, so the entire county of Geauga would have to go self-insurance. We wouldn't have that power or authority right now to do that.
I almost felt it would be listed in a different area or something.
Yeah, I mean, if we could look into it, if we were
Our
by
own fiscal
ourselves.
agent, if we were our own fiscal agent, then we can do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution 1715 is the land improvement fund. And it looks like we're talking about transferring $500,000 to set appropriation level available for the Board of Park Commissioners for possible land acquisition. And I'm just asking, just because $500,000 to buy land is not very much, is there any reason why we couldn't transfer more than
You
$500,000?
could do as much as you wanted within the constraints of that particular account, which is a little over $2 million.
So I'm wondering if we would change that to $1 million. If we find a piece of property and we don't have the money to purchase it, and it's a quick purchase, that would be a shame.
And if I could explain what this would do, what this does is, in essence, it gets you through the Budget Commission and sets the appropriations within the account. We would still, at this point, have to have a contract in place before there could be a purchase or sale agreement signed in any way, shape, or form.
So there would be a separate board resolution.
The purchase and sale agreement would have to be a board resolution, and the contract itself would have to be open through the auditor's office. But this would stop the necessity to go through the Budget Commission, because the appropriation can be set. So there wouldn't be a meeting required through the Budget Commission. That would be step one. This would take care of that. All that would need to be done at that point is we can have a contract open, which I would suggest, and we do informal contracts, and we open them a lot of times for like lawyer's title, and we could do that and open an informal contract for a smaller amount, and then increase it if you had a purchase and sale agreement, and then the encumbrance would be in place.
That's what I was going to mention. Typically, we would get a cashier's check from lawyer title that would hold the property, and we would still have time to go back to the Budget Commission if need be, because they meet.
You wouldn't need to go back to the Budget Commission, you would just have to go to the board would approve the purchase and sale agreement.
Right, if it's over 500,000.
I also want to clarify that there's a policy and procedures set in place within the Park District for the acquisition of land. And first, it goes for the Natural Resource Management Department to go ahead.
That's correct.
Okay. I don't know if you want to do just a really, really brief. It goes there, then who evaluates it after, I'm going to say Paul's staff, or Paul and his staff?
After Natural Resources, it would come directly to the Board of Park Commissioners for consideration.
Okay.
Because obviously, everything over a pre-approval comes to you anyway.
Okay.
Right now, it's over $500, so you would know about it.
Yeah. Okay. So do you all want to up the amount?
I'm comfortable with your thought on that.
Okay, with $1 million. So resolution 1750 would change to $1 million in land acquisitions.
So I'm going to make that motion.
I vote yes.
Mr. Gertz
Yes.
and Mr. Warner.
Yes, please.
All right, next up is liability insurance renewal. Did want to let you know, Mr. Warner, because you were not here last year, we go out for RFPs for competitive bidding process. An RFP for insurance was distributed in 2014. So, and it was the Ohio plan, so we're simply asking you to renew the Ohio plan for this year.
Mr. Burrows, I did have a chance before the meeting started to spend some time with Michelle. And I had some questions for her. I reviewed this pretty thoroughly. And I wondered, which we were not responsible for all of it. But I would think that it would be a good idea to at least investigate with loan agency as to what we raise that to 1,000.
We can do that.
The other question I have for her, and she covered that very well, is that in your buildings, actual cash value as opposed to replacement value is a big thing. And it looks as though we have the replacement value on most of it. That's good.
I think Mr. Gertz's suggestion is excellent, though, that we would increase our deductible if we were able to do that.
Yeah, if the auto, just so we're clear, that's only on the auto,
Yes.
the 500?
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, we will definitely look into that, and see the difference between the 500 and the 1,000.
And you bring it back to us so that we can find out what the cost
Well, we will
benefit.
need to renew this before the April deadline, so
So it'd be for next year?
we could look into it for next year if that's okay. We did budget up to 80,000 for this year.
You may inquire also, Michelle, of raising the deductible on the other ones too.
Of the building as
It's just
well.
as
The
a
building
matter of
right now is
information.
10,000.
It
Yeah,
is 10?
building and structures are 10,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could look into that, and if we changed it, we would obviously have, a check that would come back to us for a difference.
That 10,000 includes the bathrooms that we're putting in?
Yes,
So it's 39,500 for a new bathroom, and we've got a $10,000
Yes.
deductible to put the thing back up?
yes. If we have a flood, a major flood, we've actually, since I've been here the 16 years, we've only had to use that one time, and it was during a flood at Sunnybrook Preserve, when it took out quite a bit of damage to trails and a couple structural items there.
Bridget?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could buy 10 porta potties.
But I think what Michelle is saying, so we can have insurance in place, we would need a motion to go ahead for this. We're insurance for this year.
I make a motion to renew our insurance for the amount stated in this memorandum, which appears to be $77,076.
I second that.
The revision you just got is 77,253, and they called you back about inland marine.
We added a couple marine inland equipment items in the last week.
I'm sorry, so I'm, let's get the correct amount then?
Yeah, 77,253. We just,
I so amend my motion.
Inland marine isn't what it sounds like.
yeah. Oh, I know. All right, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Warndorf.
I second
Mr. Gertz?
it. Yes.
Mrs. Shumway?
Yes.
Mr. Warndorf?
Yes.
Thank you. That's that.
And this is just a lease agreement between Geauga Park District and the Geauga Park District Foundation as a formality?
Yes, yes, and legal counsel has reviewed it. It is a formality. I just wanted to bring it to the table so Mr. Warndorf could see it. It's a simple lease of space for office space, some office equipment, a computer, a phone, but it does have an option in there. Well, not an option, it does self-renew for up to 20 years, so there are no real issues. I just want to bring it to the board's attention.
And in
And a
this,
2% increase as well.
and in this, it states that they have to have what I call renter's insurance, tenant's insurance. Have we verified that they have that? Do they file that with us?
No, I don't know where, we'll get that.
Yeah, we'll get that. They would take it to their board first, Park District, Foundation trustees.
Okay. I can read through it. My
I'm
God.
very comfortable with this, but I move that we enter into this lease.
Yeah, we don't even need a motion, just,
No?
no. All right, and that takes us to
Surplus
surplus property.
We do need a motion. No Palm Pilots found in dust this week. Anybody have any questions on the surplus property?
I do not.
Bill, none? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and accept the surplus property as listed.
Second.
Mr. Gertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Shumway?
Yes.
Mr. Warner.
Yes.
That takes us to Commissioner's line.
Okay, really quickly, I have something before, and then Bill and Jeff both have also. The fact that we just approved this $22,000 budget for what I call social media, right now we have our newsletter and the in-between mailer. Do we know what kind of return we're getting on our investment as far as that in-between mailer and whether or not we should continue? I feel like we're diversifying our portfolio. Maybe we need to consider pulling that back and going with our basic newsletter that we've always had.
Yeah, which I believe we just did, the most recent one we pulled, we did not do the second
Okay.
one here.
True.
As far as what kind of return are we getting, unfortunately, it is like, the voices of the newsletter, unless we put some kind of piece within it to say, give us, feedback on your receiving it. If you're receiving this, we won't know. It's going out to every single person in the county. And we're putting programs that are already listed in our voices of newsletter and on the web in it. We're just using it as a highlight piece mostly. The determination was made, I believe, by yourself, John, to not send this last one out, and so we did not send that out. There was a substantial savings by not doing that.
And then the other thing is, I'd love to know when we go into social media, what kind of response we get on, this is probably really going to be politically incorrect, but the younger generation, since I put myself in the older one now, it's more tech savvy as far as,
Bill's going to be in
you
there.
are not the younger generation, forget it. That to see responses for some of the sign-up things that we have, like camps.
Okay.
I just realized a lot of my neighbors now do everything on their phone. Their whole life is on their
Well, what
phone.
we do with social media, so you're aware, with Facebook, we have a lot of options built into it. We can actually target certain audiences. We can target people who live in the western or the eastern part of the county. We can target people who are of a certain age group. We can target. So if we are looking for, if we're sending out something on summer camps, we are going to target a specific age group for that. We probably, Principal, we probably wouldn't be sending it to Bill unless he wants to send it to your child. But we are going to target a certain age group for when we send it out to that social media.
Okay. And then Bill, you had something that you wanted to address.
I would like to just enter into the minutes my opinion on our meeting last Saturday. I find it that we neglected to invite Mrs. Warczyk because a lot of the comment indirectly was directed at her department. The amount of advertising that we've done for the new director, and her estimate was that we should have had at least 88 applications. Well, I don't know what we do with 88 applications. Consequently, when you're coming from Lake County and you're looking at little Geauga County, sometimes there's an inflection in the conversation that suggests that the little brother maybe should be brought up to par. I didn't feel that way. I didn't appreciate some of the comments that she made, and I made myself known. So
That wasn't Robin you referred to.
she was very well spoken, very well presented. I have no problem about that. But some of the other things that she suggested about our department, we have an HR department, and Robin has done an excellent job. I don't know what we needed.
He's talking about that.
Yeah. So that's all I want to say.
Okay. And you, Jeff?
Yes, after my appointment to the board of the district, I became aware that there was a previous park commissioner for Lake Metro Parks to whom Mr. Gertz is referring. Her name is Ellen Foley Kessler, and we met with her this past Saturday. At my request and with the agreement of the other park district commissioners, we all clearly have a strong interest in making sure that we do all things reasonable and necessary to follow an appropriate process for the selection of a director for the park and to get the best possible candidate. And I was interested to hear what she had to say, and she has no axe to grind or candidate that she is promoting. Instead, she wants to give us the benefit of having served as a Lake Metro Park Commissioner for 20-plus years. And so she is in a position where she is willing to volunteer her time and experience in offering us comments about how we might expand our search. So first, I would like to thank her. We thanked her when she was there, but I'd like to thank her again for her time. It's always appreciated when someone who has experience in these matters can pass on the benefit of their knowledge when we're going through such an important process. And so I'd like to make a motion to utilize Ellen Foley Kessler as a volunteer consultant to assist the Geauga Park District Board of Commissioners in selecting an executive director. I sincerely appreciate the willingness of my fellow Park District Commissioners to include her in the discussion, and I feel she will offer us some valuable insights without in any way controlling what we do. That's my motion.
Did you understand the motion? Okay. You get a second?
Do we have a second?
No. I'll go ahead and
All
second.
due respect to Jeff, I disagree with him.
All right, we have a second by Mrs. Shumwine. Mr. Kurtz?
No,
Mrs. Shumwine?
Yes.
Mr. Wondorf?
Yes.
Thank you.
We also had further discussion of Ms. Kessler, and after considering some of the thoughts that she shared with us, we believe that we would be well served to reopen the applications for the executive director position and extend the period for when applications may be received until May 30th, 2015. Part of the rationale for this, obviously, is that I'm the new kid on the block, and there's a lot that's happened in connection with the selection and discussion. And I asked my fellow board members, and they were open to further discussions in this regard. So I'd like to make a motion to extend the application process for the executive director position until May 30th, 2015, and to ask Ms. Kolarczyk of the HR department to republish our solicitation for folks who are interested in this position to accept the applications until May 30th and to utilize the, I'm at a loss, I can't remember the U.S. Parks and Recreation Association website for the posting of the position, which had not previously been done.
Motion, do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Mrs. Shumwine?
Vote yes.
Mr. Wondorf?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Next, my comment, there were a lot of folks here last month who offered some comments about some of the recreational facilities that have been installed in Bass Lake. I went to Bass Lake. I'd been there on prior occasions, but I went back. I was struck by what a lovely building there is there at the edge of the lake. It's a great place. It just makes you feel, make me feel really great to see that structure and see what great shape it's in. It's very versatile. There were some comments that have been made about soccer goals down by the water. I discovered that the soccer goals are already gone and had been removed on some prior occasion. I am aware Ms. Webb made some comments that she didn't like the volleyball net and that she was concerned about geese coming up and using the sand of the volleyball court as a bathroom. And it sort of struck me that the geese were not discriminating in using the sand exclusively, that they were fairly liberal in their donations, and that we shouldn't necessarily rule out the continued volleyball posts, which seem to me to be located in a fairly, I don't know whether this is the right word or not, but unobtrusive spot that wouldn't interfere with other uses of the park. So I would respectfully suggest that we keep the volleyball posts and facilities right where they are. There were also some negative comments that I remember receiving, and I'm sorry I don't remember who made them, although they're reflected in the minutes, about the baseball backstop that's along the access road. I'm no expert in baseball backstops, and I'll be the first to admit it, but I can see why there are some folks that are distressed about its height. It's high.
I may save you some trouble, it's already been removed.
Oh, all right. All right, well, thank you. And it also occurred to me when I was down there that if you hit a long fly ball in right field, you'd be hitting the parked cars, so. All right. So, if the baseball backstop has been removed, I for my part, would not suggest any further modifications to the park at this time. I went to Swine Creek for one of the Saps Horizon events. I was very impressed with the dedication, as I have been in the past, of the volunteers and staff. I thought it was really well done. There were a lot of folks who were walking around having a great time, and it seemed like a pretty good turnout for a winter day. And there is a baseball backstop there too, back behind the pond. And I like that location. I mean, I'm certainly not in any position to evaluate that, but it seemed to me to be removed enough from other possible activities that it wouldn't interfere or cause a problem of any kind. I also remember there were some significant comments that were offered at last month's board meeting about Furry Meadows. It's a park that's, I live in Auburn, and it's a park that I visited on numerous occasions. I value it very much. I have observed those soccer goals myself, and have never seen anybody playing soccer there. It seems to be a fairly wet field. It's at the bottom of the slope, so the fields drain down right towards that field. And for my 2 cents worth, unless we have some interest by a league or a club or some sort that's committed for that thing to be used, I would be very glad to have those soccer goals removed from Roaring Meadows, and perhaps we could make that a change order to the contract that we voted on last month, where they're going to be out there to install the new roof and so forth on the little pavilion. I don't know if that's possible or not. At any rate, it would be my motion that we would remove the soccer goals if it's appropriate for the board to dabble in removal of athletic equipment. I'm making a motion that we remove those soccer goals.
At Roaring Meadows.
That's at Roaring Meadows, specifically, yes.
You have any problem with that, John?
Only thing I can say in that regard is, it sends a tough message to staff when it was the wish of the 2014 board to do some of these things and add some of these items. You are the current board, you're definitely entitled to make that motion, and we can go ahead and put it to a vote.
I was gonna say.
I'll second it.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Mr. Gertz?
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Shulman?
No.
And Mr. Wonder?
Yes. Get that right?
Yes.
And then there were also some comments or questions that were raised about the access to the recording and/or interim minutes. And Mr. Andre, I would be very grateful for your guidance and your weighing in on this. I remember that we asked you some questions, but I know that you didn't have any advance notice. It seems to me that I did a little homework, which is maybe a dangerous thing, and that any recording or draft minutes would be considered as a transitory or a public record, and that maybe we could revisit or have you take a look at our existing policies, so that if in fact someone who really wanted to see the draft minutes, that those could be made available to them, and they wouldn't, as you seem to suggest, be surprised by what was before us at the next meeting.
You're saying you would like Jeopardy?
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you would look at our existing policy, which Anna was kind enough to send to me, and make sure, in your opinion, are adequately defining those transitory minutes and other things of that nature that, of course, may be changed, but nevertheless, they would be accessible to members of the public. I feel very strongly that we have a duty to our folks who live in the county, who want to know what's going on, that we would make all that stuff, even if they're ultimately changed, accessible to them before, for example, we would vote on them and make them final.
Before we go forward, and realistically, how quickly would that happen? A week, 2 weeks?
It depends on what the work I have to do, but,
But even the recording,
the recording is available the next day.
let's have an example. Let's just say that Mr. Buckles gave us a 50-cent stamp or whatever the cost would be, and he said, after every meeting, I want you to send me a disc with the recording on it. I think he's entitled to receive that.
I could do it the next day.
And so he could get the recording and listen to it, and then when you have time, when in fact
Yeah, I
you do
would say
produce.
within a week or two,
Right.
but most certainly the draft would be done.
So I just want to make it so that there isn't any issue about those temporary things and when there's access to them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're allowed to view the meetings on the website, correct? You can.
No, we also have a video that we could make available. I believe that we have a video that, yeah, yes. That's not on the website though.
It's not.
It's not. on
So
the
how do you
website.
access that video?
We have public records from
Okay,
before on the video.
Well, that might be something that if you could get to it from the website. I hate to say it, but I think we need to go a little bit green here with all the discs and the papers and everything else going back. If you could view it on the website.
Could we put the recording on the website?
I would like to defer to Mr. Andre in this regard. I would feel much more comfortable if he would lay out for us the procedure that he would recommend for handling requests for material at this time. I don't want to try to project exactly how it would work. I would rather let Dave have some time to hit the books and see if we'll look at a couple cases. And then I have one more thing. We heard a lot of comments this last time. Mary Ruth, you had reported on the investigation that you had made about what trapping could go on at Burton Wetlands. And it's obvious that we have a very strong ethic in our county that there should be the most careful consideration of any hunting and trapping, and that this board should walk very carefully in trying to make these decisions. And I am wanting to spend some time to make sure that whatever is in place is the reflection of the three of us. And I know that there may have been different sentiments about hunting and trapping in the past for various things. I remember a couple of years ago there was some discussion about hunting turkeys, and obviously there were some folks upset when we were here last time about muskrats and beavers at Burton Wetlands. So I think it's very important that we try to strike the right balance between wildlife and game management and the experience that our residents have, which is sort of like experiencing the miracle of seeing the wildlife in their own place where they live. And I also found the comments of Mr. Gingrich, who is here with us today, very compelling. I was very appreciative of his coming forward and giving us his idea about how, and in his report,